This instructional video is geared towards students who are in middle school and taking a creative writing course. We are going to learn how to write a great ending to a fictional story. There are 4 specific techniques that we are going to take a look at. One of the first ones we're going to look at is choosing to end with a feeling, a wish, a hope that the character may have, and finally we will look at a specific memory that the author chooses to recap. Many authors who have been writing for a long time or maybe even a short time fight with the question of, I have my reader hooked, so how do I end it all? And this is where I can come in and gain some insight and give you some techniques on how we can end. Something to keep in mind when you are choosing an ending is to think about your audience. You definitely do not want to frustrate them. You want to keep them wanting more. Please take a moment to read over this comic strip to put this point into perspective. One of the easiest ways that students can choose is to end with a feeling. Many famous authors like this choice because it ignites something inside of their reader. One of my favorite creative writing teachers told me, you either want your reader to laugh or to cry at the very end. So now let's take a look at an example that one of my former students created. Ending with a feeling. My heart was broken and lonely. I never dreamed this would be the last time we would ever see each other again. Another great ending is for the character to end with a wish. This specific type of ending allows the reader to gain insight into the main character's mind. And many readers love to do this, to have the opportunity to get to know their character a little bit better. So let's go ahead and take another look at an example that was created by one of my former students. Ending with a wish. I wish I could go back and stop the hands of time. If I would have known that this would be our last time together, I would have told him how I truly felt. Ending with a hope is very similar to the ending that we just went over. Again, this allows the reader to make a connection to the main character because it puts all of their actions from throughout the story into perspective and now makes sense. So let's take a look at another example that was created by one of my former students. Ending with a hope. I had hoped that this day would never come. How am I ever going to get on with my life now that we can no longer be together? The final great ending we are going to look at is ending with memories. This is a great choice for the author to take the opportunity to recap the story's highlights and remind the reader of why they had enjoyed the story in the first place. So let's take a last look at one of my students' examples. Ending with a memory. I will never forget the time he took my hand on the beach and said that someday we will be together forever. We are now going to look at some famous great endings from some famous stories and authors. And this one comes from the story Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Lastly, she pictured to herself how the same little sister of hers would, in the aftertime, be herself a grown woman, and how she would keep through all her riper years the simple and loving heart of her childhood, and how she would gather about her other little children and make their eyes bright and eager with many a strange tale, perhaps even with the dream of Wonderland of long ago, and how she would fill with all their simple sorrows and find a pleasure in all their simple joys, remembering her own child life and the happy summer days. Obviously, Lewis Carroll decided to end with a memory. Let's go ahead and take a look at another example from the famous story and movie Gone with the Wind. Tomorrow I'll think of some way to get him back. After all, tomorrow is another day. And here's the famous story of A Christmas Carol. And so, as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us, everyone. The final example that I have for us to look at is from the story The Quiet American. Everything had gone right with me since he had died, but how I wished there existed someone to whom I could say that I was sorry. Obviously, Graham Greene here decided to end with a wish. Now that I have taught you some techniques to write a great ending and we have looked at some examples, Let's put your new skills to the test. So number 1, a story about a trip to Carowinds. A, then I went home. B, as I traveled home, I thought about my exciting day at my favorite place, Carowinds. Hopefully you chose answer choice B. Number 2, a story about an embarrassing moment. A, I was very, very embarrassed. B, as long as I live, I'll never forget the most embarrassing moment of my entire life. Again, hopefully you chose answer choice B. Number 3, a story about a magic carpet ride. I had fun. A, that's all, folks. B, as I snuggled under my covers that night, I fell asleep thinking about my ride on the magic carpet. C, hopefully you chose answer choice C. And for our last question on our practice test, number 4, a story about a fun day at school. A, it was the funnest day of my life. B, when I got home, I opened my birthday presents that my mom and dad gave me. C, I'm already looking forward to the next time we have a fun day at school. I hope I don't have to wait too long. Hopefully you chose answer choice C. Answer choice B doesn't even have anything to do with it. I am sure you made 100 on the practice test and can now consider yourself a great ending expert. Thank you for taking the time and learning how to write a great ending. Goodbye.